Hi everybody and welcome back to Tales of Wanderlust. If you want to meet my new pickup truck and also know the reason why I ended up with a used Toyota Tundra, then stay tuned. Well, it's official. The 4Runner is gone. It has been traded in for this Tundra. So this is a used 2018 Toyota Tundra. It came with 58,000 miles on it, roughly. I'm at 62,000 already. So in the first month of ownership, I've driven it about 4,000 miles. And so far, it tows like a dream. It drives like a Toyota, which I love, and it has a lot of power. So I'm really enjoying the Tundra. So today I'm gonna go over the reasons why, and then take you on a little tour and show you some of the mods.
All right, sit. I love you too. Sit.
All right, so let's first start with what it's like truck shopping in the current market. With the chip shortage, supply is very low, demand is very high, and the truck market is insane. So when I originally started shopping for a truck, this Tundra was actually my dream truck, what I really wanted. And I was actually hoping to get the 2022 model, which is their newer version. But all of that started back in October or November time frame, and it was about 2 or 3 months of test drives, truck shopping, research, and a lot of phone calls to end up with a truck. So the truck camper I bought is only 770 pounds, so I don't need a ton of payload in order to carry it. But once you start adding water, me, Jasper, all of our gear, food, etc., it really adds up on the weight. So the Tundras have about 1,300 to 1,600 pounds payload. And I started thinking I really wanted something that was built for more than I had now. That way, one, it can carry the truck camper I have easily without a worry. And two, if I ever wanted to get a larger truck camper, I wouldn't have to upgrade trucks. I personally know people with experiences between the Duramax and the Cummins, so that's why I was sticking with the brands I was. So I went out, I test drove the Ram 2500, 3500, the Silverado, the GMC AT4 2500. I was really nervous about an HD truck and going off-road. At one point, I was able to take a Silverado 2500 down a washboard dirt road and actually handled a lot better than I thought. So that was the moment when, during the test drives, I said, yep, that's it. I am buying a 2500 diesel or a 3500 diesel. In the HD truck market right now, brand new diesel HD trucks are actually selling for less than used. I was looking at 2022 models, and the 2018 to 2021 models that were used were actually priced higher. So it's really quite insane. And because of that, I didn't even look at used trucks. I was looking just at brand new ones. They are being sold at MSRP or have a market adjustment. I've seen between $5,000 and $27,000 over MSRP as a market adjustment. Or if you're gonna order one, it is a 3 to 6 month wait for a brand new truck. And I was really hoping to get a truck sooner rather than later, so I could start building it out with the truck camper and get everything ready, because I really am trying to go to Alaska this summer. So I didn't want to order a truck. I was trying to grab one of those canceled orders off a lot. So I was calling to dealers all over the country, trying to find dealers that weren't charging over MSRP. So they are out there. If you are shopping for a truck right now, know that if you call around, there's a lot of dealers that don't agree with it, whereas there are other dealers that are charging that $27,000 over MSRP just because they know they can get it. Hi, buds. Jasper has come to hang out. So after all of that shopping, I was getting pretty darn close to just giving up and saying, you know what, the market is what it is. I need a truck. I'm gonna have to pay these premium prices and just go with it. So, you gonna sit on my lap? Yep, here we go. I do have a lap dog, in case you were wondering. The straw that broke the camel's back, so to say, is I was looking at Silverados and GMCs. They ended up being my dream truck and what I really was hoping to get, but they're trying to save on chips. So they are shipping their new trucks without heated seats and some other premium features. So you are paying top dollar for a brand new truck and you are not getting some of those creature comforts. They are saying they will retrofit them, but with all of my travels, that means I need to wait, find a dealer. The logistics are a lot harder. So I really didn't want to deal with that. And at the same point, I just had the realization of I'm potentially spending a ton of money for a truck. So in the end, I wanted to go with something more affordable while I wait for this market to settle down a bit. So I ended up going back to the Tundras. So the payload on the Tundra is lower than I was hoping for originally, but it is still adequate for my current setup. If I ever want a different truck camper, I will need to get a bigger truck, but for now, it is perfect for what I need. I am going to have some mods done to it in order to beef up the rear suspension in order to hold the additional weight, since the weight will be on there so much and for so many miles, but it can definitely handle what I'm going to put it through. So why did I end up with the V8 version versus the brand new V6 turbo version? First, I'm not a big fan of first model year anything. I own a 2018 base camp because I didn't want to buy a 2017, which was their first year out, which I'm very happy with because the 2017s had a lot more recalls than the 2018s did. So it gives the manufacturer a little bit of time to figure out some of those first model year quirks. Also, I test drove a brand new 2022 and it honestly felt like driving the 4Runner. With the V6, it was a very familiar feeling, whereas when I drove the V8, it felt a lot more like the HD trucks. Yes, there's a huge power difference between this and a 3500 diesel, but at the same point, the V8 just feels a lot more like a truck than the V6 did. But the biggest driver on this, which you'll notice a theme, was price. So the brand new 2022, they had a market adjustment of $5,000 on it, plus required packages that you had to buy, which added up to another $4,500. So for a base model SR5, I was looking at a $50,000 price tag. So I started shopping around for used Toyota Tundras. And right now, Tundras, as with every other truck out there, are in high demand. So my search was all over the country. I had calls into dealers in Washington, Oklahoma, and all over. This Tundra ended up popping up about an hour south of where I was at the time. It was actually priced very reasonably. And so as soon as it popped up, I called the dealer and I said, I will be there after work to test drive it. And when I was taking it for a test drive, it honestly just felt like the right truck. I was so energized and I had such a great feeling test driving it. I knew it was the one. So they wouldn't negotiate on price, but it was already priced really competitively, but they did negotiate on other items. The front skid plate was missing. I ended up negotiating having them put the TRD Pro skid plate underneath. In addition, I also negotiated having some of the maintenance done to it. So I got a power steering flush. They did the oil change. There were a few other things I just can't remember off the top of my head right now. So I ended up buying the truck that night. I had the 4Runner with me. I had them value it. They did give me a low ball offer on it, but thankfully I had a printed offer from another dealer. So I brought that in, gave it to them, and they matched it. In the end, I ended up trading the 4Runner for $1,500 less than I bought it for. I bought it brand new back in 2017. I put 100,000 miles on it. It had desert pinstriping all down the side, which are small scratches from off-roading here in the desert. And I will say it was a very well-loved, but a very used 4Runner. So I actually couldn't believe how much I ended up getting as a trade-in. So with that, and having a really good deal on the price of the Tundra, I feel like I made out in this market. So after I purchased it, I did take it up to RSG Off-Road in Denver, who did all of my suspension mods on the 4Runner. They took a look at the Tundra and they said everything looks great. So the third-party inspection also cleared everything and it is in great condition, and I really ended up lucking out finding this one. The other thing that was really nice about this truck is it already has suspension mods done to it that I would have wanted to do anyway, but the dealer didn't actually know about them, so they didn't upcharge for them. So it already has the BF Goodrich KO2 E-rated tires, a 2.5-inch lift. It's got an Icon rear suspension, an Eibach front suspension, and upper control arms, all upgraded with the lift. So it drives amazing off-road. It is super smooth. It also had a very small onboard air compressor in the hood, which I've actually already swapped out and put my ARB dual air compressor in there. So let's take a quick tour of it. All right, so let's talk specs a little bit. This is a 2018 Toyota Tundra Double Cab with a 6-foot bed, limited. So the inside does have the leather pleather material that they use, as well as wood on the dash, heated seats, and some nice updated features like that. It does have the stock running boards on it, which is amazing. I didn't have running boards on the 4Runner, and you basically had to climb into the truck. I have found I get about 15 to 17 miles per gallon when I am not towing. But when I am towing the base camp, I get between 11, which is what I had when I was driving through the Colorado mountains, to about 13 miles per gallon, which is what I get here in Arizona, where the roads are pretty flat. That's actually better than what I got in the 4Runner. I got 9 miles to the gallon towing, and I got about 14 when I wasn't towing. But at that lower rating, that's actually a 25% improvement. So hey, I'll take it, right? It is rated at 1,300 pounds payload. This truck also has the safety sense on it. So it does have the automated cruise control, the front collision warning, the lane departure warning. I absolutely love the adaptive cruise control. It has malfunctioned on me once already. I was driving, I got an error message up on my dashboard saying none of that technology was working and I would have to see a dealer. I ended up turning the truck off, turning it back on, and everything has worked since. It also has the 38-gallon gas tank. So this is a luxury that I don't have to stop every 2 to 3 hours for gas. It's also rated to tow 9,900 pounds. So my little tiny 3,500 pound trailer feels like nothing behind it. So as with all things, what have I modded out on this already? Smaller items, since the suspension was already upgraded, the tires were already upgraded, so I didn't have to do any of that. So one of the first things I did was put these window guards on. So these rain guards just keep rain out of the windows. You can also leave the window down about that much, and it won't actually look like the window is down, which I really like. It's great to air out the truck. On the 4Runner, I did have the WeatherTech version. These are cheaper versions that came off of Amazon. I was trying not to spend too much money on all of the mods up front, and honestly, they feel like similar quality. They were easy to install. The WeatherTech ones on the 4Runner, these back ones did end up falling off. So I ended up gluing them onto the window frame, which, shh, don't tell the new owner that. So hopefully I don't have to end up gluing these ones, but really curious to see how they hold up. Then I ended up buying a tonneau cover. Again, I went pretty cheap. This was about $200 off Amazon. So far, it has held up really well to our last 3 weeks of travel and all of the stuff in here bouncing around. The reason I went cheaper on the tonneau cover is once I put the truck camper on here, I'm not gonna have any use for it. But for this trip, where I'm traveling for about a month and a half, I wanted to make sure that my belongings in the bed of the truck were secure. So the $200 was absolutely worth it for the security. Inside, a lot of what I've done is around organization. So I have put an organizer in here. You can see all of my Tootsie Pops that are falling out, which if you ever want a good way to entertain yourself while driving, get some Tootsie Pops. I have organization in the center console, which really helps to get a lot of my gear in here. In the back seat, I have the hammock that was in the 4Runner and I put it in here. And then I also took the memory foam mattress that I had been using in the 4Runner and I put it on top of the seat here. So Jasper has a really comfortable area back here to hang out. And then even though the Tundra came with the upgraded rubber mats, I still ended up getting rid of those and putting in these Husky floor liners. So I had these in the 4Runner. I literally spilled an entire cup of water in them. I think I've spilled coffee and stuff in them as well. And they have higher ridges. So when you have that much water, dirt, it collects all of it. And then you can just pick it up and dump it out. The rubber mats that came from Toyota didn't fit as tight. And so if anything had spilled like that, it would have just dripped off into the carpet. So this was definitely something that was one of my first upgrades. And my only current annoyance about the truck, I have a really big water bottle because I drink a lot of water and there is no good place for it to sit. So the cup holders in the 4Runner, you could take out the insert and make them bigger. The cup holders here in the Tundra, they fit a normal size cup and that is it. These don't fit. On Amazon, they do sell cup holder inserts. So it goes into the stock cup holder and then it has a wider base. I tried one, but because of the shape of these Tundra cup holders, it would come flying out when I was stopping quickly. Eventually, I'm probably gonna give in and buy a smaller water bottle for in the truck. I did try some Moly organizers on the back of the seats, but they started denting the material within a day or two, and they really weren't that secure, so they were shaking and bouncing, which would really freak Jasper out in the back seat. So I ended up returning those, and I do have one coming for the roof. So we're gonna test that out and see how that is. So with the back seat being a double cab, it is pretty small. Jasper fits back there really fine by himself, but when we have Jasper and Emma back here, it is really tight. So I'm gonna be pulling the back seat for weight savings, but also so we can build a custom platform. So this fluff ball and his friend Emma can fit back there a lot more comfortably. Once I build that platform, I'm also gonna put extra storage underneath. So I'll have a lot more storage inside the cab of the truck. And then not a mod, but a kind of nice thing is the center console in this truck, just like a lot of trucks, is huge. So in the 4Runner, Napoleon would get buckled into these blankets in the passenger seat, but he was always kind of far from me, and he likes being close to me, and he likes cuddling, which isn't safe while driving, so that's why he was always buckled in here. But now the center console is large enough that his bed sits up here, and I have buckled in the front passenger seat belt. I have added Napoleon's leash or seatbelt, and he can get buckled in right here in the center. It is still short enough so he can't reach me in the driver's seat, but with him sitting here in the center, I can pet him, he can be close to me, and he's a lot happier here. He can also see out the front, so he kind of just watches us to see where we're going. So he actually seems to really enjoy this setup a lot more than the blankets in the passenger seat. But the nice thing about the position of the buckle is he can go back and forth between the bed and the seat. So it's really up to him where he wants to sit. All right, so that is it. That was my dream truck that I then veered away from and I then came back to. I am absolutely loving it the first month in. But if you have any questions on it, feel free to comment below. Otherwise, Jasper and I are gonna head out, do a little bit of a stroll. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.